Welcome to Reading and Writing Between the Lines, a podcast series about communication skills in the workplace. I'm your host, John Witzman. Join me as I speak with industry professionals and Conestoga faculty and alumni to explore their journeys with reading and writing skills. Follow us as we talk about how communications learning has changed over the years, how these skills are used in a wide range of industries, and the future of workplace communications. I'm really curious to know what role, if any, those you see that sort of reading and writing background and that reading and writing and communicating skill set. What role, if any, did that play in that early stage of your culinary career when, as you just said, you started to do well and you started to really connect and started to see your career blossoming? I'm sure, obviously, the majority of that success was built on your skills in the kitchen. But to what extent do you think that reading and writing skill set helped you at that stage of your career when you were developing?
Well, I think you're definitely right in assuming like those early stages, like working in something like cooking, you're more of a soldier down in the bottom. Right. They're putting you in the trenches. You're kind of working service. You're not expected to do much other than know the menu and what parts of the menu you're responsible for. But even something as simple as acknowledging that and recognizing this part of the menu is what I'm responsible for, and reading it out and understanding what they're trying to do. What's the chef trying to do with this dish? Right. And actually having some comprehension there, as opposed to just saying, I don't know, I'm putting artichokes on a salad, whatever. It's not, you know what I mean? So to being able to articulate and then learning those things is what allowed me to sort of excelling at a young age once I had some experience actually with the cooking process.
See, that's really interesting what you just shared to me, because it makes me think of a skill set that we're often talking about as educators in the communications subject, and it's a hard one to define, and it's a hard one to sort of tease out. But we tend to call it critical thinking, right? That idea that you could have a kind of inner voice that is describing in real time what you're seeing, what the information is that's coming in, whether it's from a written text or in this case, from a workplace situation. And that inner voice can ask questions about what's going on, and it can sort of intentionally connect dots and draw conclusions. And in a way, it sounds almost like that conversation going on in your mind sort of spread out over, the spread out over time, making that insight, forming that insight that you just shared about, what's my role, what's my part in the bigger system here that is the kitchen and is the restaurant. That it's not that different from, on a smaller scale, somebody reading an article or reading a book and or reading a textbook chapter and using that critical thinking skill set to be able to say, okay, what am I reading about on this page? How does this page fit into this chapter? How does this chapter fit into this overall book? What's its thesis or what's its main idea? To put all of those pieces together, to my mind, is a critical thinking skill set that develops in a communications type education. Am I off on that, or do you think that there's something to reading the space of a kitchen that helped you to be successful?
I think personally for me it would be a combination, but I do think it's like one thing I'll talk with the students that I work with is I think when you look at like someone who has been in an industry for 20, 25 years and where their knowledge is and where their comfort level is in what they're doing, it can be almost an intimidating thing when you're a young cook or you're someone that's in, like a college program and you're wondering, is this for me? Like, I don't know anything. There's so much to learn. And one thing I talk about is like, that's actually what makes it fun when you actually get involved into something, is that snowball keeps getting bigger. And then you actually, as you grasp things, as you grow in your career, you have opportunities to continue to grow that. And to me, I always use the example of something like, working in a cubicle where you're doing something you're not passionate about, and it might, pay your bills, it might pay your mortgage, but it's not really feeding, your creativity or your, self-being. So something like that is actually exciting, and you should like welcome that, that overwhelming feeling, because you're going to appreciate it down the line when you start, getting stagnant in things that you can always kind of pivot. You can, move in different directions.
And that marks the end of another episode of Reading and Writing Between the Lines, a podcast hosted by me, John Witzman, on behalf of the Communications Department and School of Interdisciplinary Studies at Conestoga College. You can find other episodes of this series on our YouTube channel, Reading and Writing Between the Lines. Stay tuned for more episodes. Thanks for listening.